Hey guys, what's up? It's me, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my channel. Haha. I guess I like to do like a disappearing act, and like I've come back. The last video that I posted, I filmed a really long time ago. Also, if the editing seems weird in this, I got a new software because the other one was annoying me, which is why it took me a long time to put that video up. But now that we're here again, or I'm here again, I don't know who else is gonna be joining me, but hey guys, we're here. We're doing stuff. So I did the owls in April. I know it's like mid-May, but I do things on my own time. Anyway, so I'm just gonna go over the books that I read for the owls, really just the books that I read last month. A lot of them are in my birthday video, so I'm just gonna kind of lightly address those ones, which I'm gonna do first. The only book last month that did not go to an owl is The Ancestor by Danielle Trussoni. I'm just gonna give like a little description if you want to hear more of my thought. I barely said any thoughts on this, so like it's fine. This is about Bert, or Alberta, which is the way that she gets referred to it for most of the book. She inherits a large estate in Italy, and so she goes there and she finds out about like her family secrets and such. The one thing that I pretty much talked about a lot in my video really is that this is not a thriller, it's an like evolution type story, so just go in knowing that. Don't fool yourself. I think part of the joy that I had was learning that it wasn't a thriller, but I also feel like that will ruin it for like a lot of people thinking that it's a thriller and it's not a thriller. So it's a weird story too. It's just odd. I had no idea where it was, like I kind of knew, like you get to a point where like you know where it's gonna go, but for a long time I had no idea what was going on. So that's what this book is. I'm also trying to be short because I have 12 books altogether and I don't feel like putting out a 30-minute video. So I'm trying to be as like strategic as I can with this, just because I don't want to bore people. I don't know if I'm boring or not. If I am, then why are you even here, I guess? So like, I guess I'll just do what I want. Actually, I think it's more for me. I don't want to watch myself for like an hour. I really like this shirt, like this outfit I bought recently, and I was like, wow, I hate these shorts, but I like feel like it's cute. The thing about You Deserve Each Other is that like the synopsis is kind of wrong, but it's like, the synopsis is what Naomi thinks is going on instead of what's actually going on. You know? So I guess I will give Naomi's perception of what's going on in this book is that Naomi and Nicholas are both very unhappy in their relationship and they both want to call off the wedding, and whoever calls off the wedding has to pay for the wedding, so they're trying to mess with each other so that the other person calls it off. That's what Naomi thinks is going on, but it's not really what's going on. So I really enjoyed this book. So You Deserve Each Other, one of the main things that I liked about this story was following Naomi and like seeing how her point of view isn't completely what's going on in the relationship, and just how that kind of goes on in like just life. Like we all do that. We all look at a situation from only our point of view, and we're not always right in what we think is going on in a situation, you know? So that was something that I really liked in that book. There's more, but I just thought I would say my favorite thing about that book, because I already talked about it a lot. So that's what I'm gonna do with these ones. Oh, that book's by Sarah Hoggle. I don't know if I said her name. I'm good at this. Did I say what? Okay, so You Deserve Each Other was for the astrology, so read it at night prompt for the owls. Godshot by Chelsea Beaker. This one satisfied arithmecy, so it was like a book outside of the genre that you usually read. Follows Lacey May. She is being pretty much raised in this cult in Peaches, California, where there's a drought, and their cult leader, Pastor Vern, made everyone believe that he can bring the rain and make everyone prosperous once again. And then at the beginning of the story, her mom gets banished from the community and she has to live with her grandma. Eventually she tries to go and find her mom. I shouldn't have said that. It says that in the description, but like, it doesn't happen till well near the end of the book. So I spent like most of this book waiting for that moment to happen, and it just like wasn't happening. So the bullet points for this one, because it's in my birthday video, is that didn't really believe that the cult could be a real cult, just seemed like a weak cult. I liked the change of Lacey May's perspective throughout the book towards the cult and her life, and just she went through so much stuff in this book, and it was a ride. Another one that was in that video, because there was 5 books, so we're talking about those 5 books. Okay, so Ruthless Gods by Emily A. Duncan. This one was for history of magic, so it had to have like a wizard or a witch. This one has blood mages in it, so I'm counting that as a witch. It's the second one to Wicked Saints. There are 2 kingdoms who are battling, one with blood magic, one that gets their powers from the gods. I honestly didn't really have much to say about this. It was a very meh book. I don't have any strong feelings for it either way. I mostly read it because I wanted to find out about the gods, so that's it. I don't really want to say much about it, but this is the book that I read. I didn't want to say much about it in my other video either. I just don't really care. The next one was for Muggle Studies, which is reading like a contemporary novel, so I read Little Universes by Heather Demetrios. This one follows Hannah and May, whose parents were just killed in a tsunami, and they're kind of dealing with this when they have to move from California to Boston. Hannah is dealing with like depression and substance abuse. May wants to become an astronaut and take care of her sister. If you watch my birthday video, you will know that I had mixed feelings about this book. The first half of this book I did not like because it was just the characters saying the same thing over and over, and May would not stop talking in what I call science speak. The second half gets more interesting because they do more things, and I think the resolution with Hannah and her significant other is the thing that really saved this book for me. But yeah, I don't really want to talk about this book again. I talked about it a lot in my other video. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So now on to books that I haven't talked about. Yay! Something that I don't like in books and I don't like in myself is just having to say basically the same thing again. That's why it's hard to edit myself, because I'm repetitive and annoying. The next 2 I'm going to talk about together because they're in the same like category of type of book. They're both the like YA rom-com. So Charms was read a book with a white cover, so I read it first and then. And then for Ancient Runes, which was to read a book with a heart or heart in the title, I read Listen to Your Heart. It's been a long time since I read this book. We'll just wait till the dogs stop barking. Oh, you want to know an announcement about my life? I got into the respiratory therapy program that I applied to, so gonna be a respiratory therapist, y'alls. First and Then follows Devon. She has a big crush on her best friend Cass, but she's like not doing anything about it. In the story, her cousin Foster is living with her family because his mother has chosen drugs over him. So he's living with Devon and her parents, and she is in the same gym class with her because she, for some reason, decided to not take gym class before she was a senior. I took my gym classes when I was a freshman, but like, you know, we all do our lives differently, so no one can really judge her for that. Also in this gym class is the star of the football team, Ezra, who seems kind of cold and icy, but he is also like, I love him. It was like a typical little YA contemporary. It was so fun and cute, and I just like enjoyed it. I don't have anything spectacular to say about it. It's kind of like you read one of these, you've read them all. It's like you can get the same feeling but not read the same exact story with these. So like if you want a good YA rom-com contemporary that it's gonna give you the same feeling as the other ones did, both of these are good for that. Oh, also First and Then, something that I didn't say is that I really enjoyed the relationship between Devon and her cousin. That was a highlight for this one. So this one's for Ancient Runes. So Kate got talked into taking a podcast class in her high school by her best friend. They submit ideas for what their podcast should be about, and Kate suggested advice, and whoever's topic gets picked has to automatically be a co-host for the podcast, so it puts her in a position that she doesn't really want to be in and she's uncomfortable with. And it's interesting to watch her kind of grow with that. There's also the love interest. You'll find out who it is if you choose to read this book. It's always easy to figure out who the love interest is going to be. But it was stressful, really, the situation with the love interest for me. I enjoyed it, but like it was stressful. I really enjoyed kind of like watching her get comfortable in the podcast world. So the one that I don't physically have is the one that was for potions, which is reading a book 150 pages or less, and I read the test. Oh my god, it was first published April 1st, 2019, and I read it April 1st, 2020. Nice. The Test by Sylvain Newell. This book follows like a citizen test. It's like a short one, so I'm not gonna like describe it a lot. Yeah, it's about this man who's taking a citizen's test for the UK, and probably the best way to describe it is how many other people have described it, is that it's like a Black Mirror episode. Very short, it's interesting. I don't know, I have a harder time reading shorter books because I don't know, there's just like not as much to it, so I have a harder time feeling invested in those stories. It is good for what it is. I didn't rate it, I don't think, because I can't rate short books, I feel like. The Owl for Defense Against the Dark Arts was to read a book that takes place on or near the sea, which I read. All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I forget names. I don't really feel like looking up the name. Oh, I'll look up the name, whatever. So this follows Amora. She is supposed to like become the leader of her kingdom after she shows the display of her soul magic power. And in her kingdom, like everyone picks which kind of magic they want to have, because they're only allowed to have one type of magic. And then you go and live on that island. So in the beginning, her demonstration to show that she can be a competent ruler of this kingdom goes wrong. And so she gets like imprisoned, and this guy like saves her, and they get on his boat and they sail and try to solve some problems in the kingdom so that she can come back and rule the kingdom. And this was a good one. I will tell you, I really enjoyed this one. So much happens in this book, but it's also like really well paced, and I just like really liked that. There are some like really good reveals in this one. There's a mermaid who like joins their little crew. Like, yeah, they have a little crew that's really enjoyable to read. I liked the characters. I liked the story, how the plot went. The world was interesting. This one I just like didn't predict anything at all. I don't know if I just like wasn't trying to predict anything or if it was just like not predictable. So our next book is for herbology. So it was a book that starts with M. And I read The Merciful Crow. I read The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owens, right? Owen, no S. I liked the romance in this one. I feel like a lot of YA fantasies, I haven't really been that interested in like the romance aspect of it. This one, I did like the couple in this one. Fi and her band of crows. Each cast is like named after a bird, and they have like a specific power that they have. And in each cast, I guess there are witches who have like more power than the others in that cast. So for the crows, they don't have any powers of their own, and only the witches are able to take power from the teeth of witches from the other cast and use those people's powers. One thing, just this magic system, so interesting to me. Just so different, like taking power from teeth, like wow. Anyways, so there's a plague that's going on with the whole kingdom, and the crows are the only ones who don't get sick by this plague and die, so they're the ones that take care of the dead. So when someone's sick, they kind of like have plague signal, and then they come and take the dead and do what they have to. One thing I have to talk about in this book is that the crows, they are treated horribly. Like, there's this group of people that like will hunt down the crows and kill them, and it's like, they're the people that are containing your plague. Why are you treating them so awful? I just can't fathom why you would do that. Some people are idiots. I feel like the crows should be treated better than they are. One person's opinion, I guess. Probably a lot of people who have read this book's opinion. I kind of already told you the things that I liked about this book. I really liked the magic system. I did like the romance between certain people. It was also well paced. There was also some good twists in here. It just was a good book. That is this one for. So Care for Magical Creatures was to read a book with a crow on the cover. I mean, no, not a crow. With an beak. With a beak. I read The King of Crows by Libba Bray. See, there's the beak. The fourth book in the Diviners. I've talked about the Diviners many times this series, so now we finally get to not talk about it anymore unless I bring it up for something else, but like, I've read all the books now. The whole series follows a group of diviners, so they're people who kind of have mystical powers, just their dealings with the King of Crow. So like their powers are like Evie, who can read objects and find out about the person who owned that object. There's like Sam, who can make people not see him. Isaiah, who can kind of see into the future. And then Memphis, who can heal. Hers isn't revealed until later, so I won't bring that up. Henry can dreamwalk, so can Ling. So like things like that. I'm gonna put this book behind me just so that I can just talk about this series as a whole. I did enjoy this series, but here is the thing. It's a series that each book is enjoyable. It's an enjoyable series overall, but the stories are kind of, in a way, aren't as fluid as other series. Like, I had this feeling also when I read like the Darker Shades of Magic series, when like all the books kind of, like you can see how they all belong to the same story, but they also feel like they're not the same story. They follow the same people, but they don't completely feel like they're a series. And I don't know how to explain it other than that, and I don't know if that makes sense, but like that's the best way that I can put it. I guess in the series overall, something that kind of disappointed me was just really the King of Crows. I felt like I needed more from like him or about him or his existence, but I did still enjoy it. I listened to most of these books on audiobook, which I think is the way to read this series, because I read one book not with audiobook and I didn't really enjoy that. So I guess the strong points of this series I feel like are just like the characters and the setting. The characters and the setting, and I guess the writing style, and that's why I liked the audiobook so well, because the narrator did like a really good job with like the writing style. Specifically in this book, something that disappointed me was like there was hardly any planning. Like most of the book was the characters separated from each other. I just wish that it was more like, how are we gonna end this, instead of most of this book we're gonna be just like wandering around a little bit. So this one was for Transfiguration, and it was to read a book with a shapeshifter, and I read Ghosts of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare and others. It's a bind-up of novellas that follow stories with the shadow market. I feel like I don't really have too much to really say about it. Like, novellas aren't really always my favorite thing to read, just because, as I've told earlier with the test, shorter stories tend to just not interest me as much. But I did really enjoy learning more about some of the characters that I have grown to love. Through reading this, I've realized that probably my favorite character within the Shadowhunter world is Tessa. I didn't really realize that. I also realized that I feel like I might be more of a fan of the Shadowhunter Chronicles than I like really realize. Like, yes, I have read almost every single one of the books. I still have to read 2 of them, but it's interesting. Like, I feel like I'm like a pretty good fan, but like also I'm not like a hardcore fan. It's been an interesting experience. It's like glowing behind me because of the light. Just cute. It's a cute look for us. Which story was like one of my favorites? I'll figure out. I think the one where they found Raphael. I don't know which one that was. Alec. I think The Land I Lost. Is it? The Land I Lost is probably my favorite one. For the newest one, what is he called? Janus? Janice. I don't think I'm gonna like that because I don't like him. I don't want to read about him. Kind of wish that the series that's gonna follow after The Dark Artifices did not have him. There's a lot of things in Cassandra Clare's books that I just like, I don't like, but I'll read it anyways. It's weird. I'm like a fan, but I also like a lot of things I don't like in the book. Those are my owls. I completed 11 out of 12 owls. I was gonna read Dark Matter to satisfy the deviation one, but I have read it, but I didn't read it during the time period. So I read it at the beginning of this month. No, it's not the only book I finished this month. I've only finished 2 books this month and we're halfway through. I've just been playing like a lot of Animal Crossing and watching Criminal Minds. It's fine. Like, here's the thing. I feel like people that are kind of like involved in booktube, whether they're just watching or they're reading and putting up videos or whatever they're doing, I feel like there's kind of like this shame that we feel when we don't read enough books, but like, we shouldn't feel that way. Like, sometimes we don't want to read. Sometimes we want to do other things. And I think that we should just be okay with that. And I'm actually very okay with that. Like, I haven't been wanting to read. Like, I wish that I had, and I wish that I was reading. But like, also, I'm having a good time doing what I'm doing. So like, we don't care. Let's all do what we just want to do. Yeah, but those are my owls and my little whatever that was. Like, subscribe, put a comment down there if you want to. Oh. But I'm thinking of doing like a discussion on the book Dark Matter for like my next video. Look out for that. I don't know why I do these weird things with my hands. I just am how I am. Hate to turn up out of the blue and fire, but I couldn't stay away. I couldn't fight it. I had hoped to see my face, and that you'll be reminded that for me this isn't easy. See ya. Bye.